As the ambulance headed out of town, only one policeman kept it under close surveillance.
Suspect pulled into a development, a housing development. After he pulled in, I pulled in and turned off my lights and parked on a side street. So I just kind of like laid low for a few minutes. My car was turned off, the headlights were off, and I slumped down in the seat.
By radio, a meeting was arranged. At the suspect's insistence, it was set for a nearby McDonald's. Police Chief Joe Mashinsky and his men arrived first.
We have a bad situation here. This isn't really the place to try to resolve it. We're too close to the highway. What we got to try to do is get this... I advise our people to send Officer Funda up to the bowling alley to provide some cover. That I was going to attempt to either try to get the hostage away from the individual or do what I had to do if, the situation warranted. I'm preparing myself that if I have to shoot, that I am going to shoot.
The gunman was still insisting on the return of his cocaine, but Mashinsky convinced him to drive to the deserted parking lot of the local bowling alley, where his demands for food and liquor would be met.
Alongside the building, there's railroad ties, and I felt maybe I could get the ambulance in a position where one would have to get out to get the Jack Daniels and the roast beef. So I set him on the railroad tie, and I waved him to come across. I was hoping that the ambulance driver was going to step out of the ambulance. And when he did, I was just going to step in and, I was carrying a 13-shot automatic. And like I said, I also feared for my own life, so I figured the best thing to do was to open up with an automatic, and I knew I couldn't miss the guy from that distance.
Get the sandwich.
As he reached out, he looked down and he saw me. And I tried to whisper to him to open the door.
Well, then open the door, Lee. Don't try anything, or I swear I'll blow your head off.
With his last hostage gone, the gunman took off alone in the stolen ambulance.
The vehicle is leaving out on Route 130.
At that point, all the police cars started giving pursuit. This is the first time it was actually a high-speed chase. At this point, I think speeds reached around 90 miles an hour or so. I was right in the middle of a pack of, I'd say, 12 to 16 police cars. Went into the northbound lanes past the ambulance. I had to slam down my brakes. They both spun off the highway.
The ambulance came to a stop in a grassy field.
Cars are sliding to a stop. I'm sliding in behind them, trying not to hit the car in front of me, hoping the guy behind me doesn't hit me. All the police officers trained their gun on the ambulance, waited for something to happen.
The life-threatening situation now had really diminished. Could you really legitimately shoot this individual now? He had no hostage.
It was a standoff. They decided to try another way. 20-year veteran Lieutenant Dan Rogers, due to retire in less than a year, was called in as a negotiator.
I felt some danger because you don't really know who you're dealing with when you first get called out. Anything could go wrong. I mean, he could just raise a gun to my face at any point and, blow me away because it was dark. I couldn't see everything inside there. It was like talking to somebody when you talk to a priest with the screen there, something like that. Didn't have that good of visibility.
Hey, put the gun down now. Nobody's here to hurt you. I don't even have a gun. Look, I'm not even armed.
Lens was starting to come off his high, apparently.
He was claiming that he would kill himself if we attempted to get inside the ambulance.
Michael, it's Dee. Can you hear me?
In answer to the gunman's demands, his ex-wife was brought to the scene.
Yeah, please come out. They said nobody was hurt here. Nobody else outside was hurt. And they just want to help you.
You know, you're starting to sound like one of them.
Michael, nobody's telling me what to say. You say whatever you want.
You say what you want. Why don't you come over here and talk to me?
If you throw the gun out, I will.
You know me better than that. Deanie, I'm sorry that they dragged you over here. I love you a lot, lady. But, I'm gonna go.
because you don't want to talk to me. I ain't gonna play their game. I asked them for something simple.
We didn't let her talk to him too long. It wasn't making any headway. But it did establish the fact that we were trying to help him and trying to get him out safely, and I think he realized that.
Around 8 the next morning, Rogers was still trying to talk the gunman into surrendering his weapon.
You tell me if I brought your wife out, you give me the gun and come out, pal.
When I was a young cop, we believed in charging into, breaking a door down and taking everybody out forcibly. And over the years, you learn sometimes negotiation is the better way to do it. Most people want a way out, I think.
Nobody's hurt now. Let's go.
He handed the gun to me in pieces, just handed it through the window to me, opened the door, came out, and he went into my arms and just hugged me.
Come on out. It's all over, kid. Come on, it's all right.
To tell you the truth, when the guy came out, he didn't look dangerous to me. I just really thought it was just some poor soul that got juiced up on drugs and he didn't know what he was doing. He was just reaching out for something, whether it was help. I really don't know.
When he was lucid, he didn't want to hurt me. He considered me a nice guy. When he wasn't lucid, as I said, he was going to blow my brains out.
My wife was really upset. I remember coming home and just holding on to her. Just holding on to her. It was a long night, but I can remember when it was all over with, thinking it was great. Not only did we get hostages out unhurt, but to get the suspect and get him uninjured, that made it 100% successful. When I was done, I felt real good about it, and I think all the other officers did too.
Less than 8 hours after it began, the incident was over. The gunman was convicted of kidnapping and possession of a weapon and narcotics. He was sentenced to 24 years in prison. All of the 4 former hostages have returned to their field work in emergency medicine.